think you're doing, boy?
I was gonna play the Ouija board.
You ain't to be messing with the Ouija board. The barrier between life and death is very delicate. Some barriers ain't meant to be opened.
Okay.
I suggest in the future you watch yourself and remember what I said
Okay.
about barriers and opening
Where are you
and
going?
the not opening of them.
Okay. Bye. Wow. Oh, Jesus.
What do you think you're doing?
What the dude?
I told you some things ain't meant to be open.
It's a fridge.
And it ain't meant to be open.
Okay.
Hold it, Sonny. Some jars ain't meant to be open.
It's peanut butter. It's peanut butter.
Ain't meant to be open.
Jesus Christ.
This door ain't meant to be open.
Get out of here! Oh my God. What the hell?
I already done did tell you some things ain't meant to be open.
Dude, I'm getting pretty sick and tired of you telling me what I can and can't open. You know what, man? You know what I think you need to open? Your heart.
You're right, son. You're the first one to call old Jebediah Abernathy on his crap. I closed myself off for years. Because it paid me too much. I think you're right, son. I think you're right.
Oh, God. Oh, okay. Okay.
Hey everybody,
Hey.
welcome to Film Juice.
Woo.
Welcome. I'm your host, Andrew Canada.
I'm Joe Dorado.
Joe, let's jump right into this
Yeah.
because I want to get to this first one. We're going to be talking about the Game of Thrones season premiere. It's the final season of the show. The premiere was Sunday night.
Yeah,
and
crazy.
it's going to be spoiler free, but we are going to talk about it right now. So Joe, we're both big
Yeah.
fans of the show, like a lot of people out there.
Yeah, just to say, there will probably be like spoilers from like before this season. Because,
yeah.
Because like then
Before
we just
this
can't-
season,
we just
everything.
can't talk about like anything then.
No, absolutely. Okay.
But yeah, this episode, this is a big deal. This
course.
show, this season took an hour and a half. It took a year and a half longer, like than normal.
Yeah.
And like, so like people were like waiting for it for a while. And now it's finally out, and there's only going to be 6 episodes for this season. And
It's 6 episodes? I thought it was 7.
It's
But I think you're right. I think
it's 6.
All right, it's either 6 or 7.
And like which is way shorter, but they're gonna
Yeah.
have longer episodes.
Right.
And it's this big deal because this is literally like the end of this whole epic story.
Yep.
And yeah, it's crazy. So this is like the first. This is the last premiere they're ever doing.
Yeah.
And they have to start off strong, and I think they started off really strong.
I agree.
And my favorite part about this episode was how they threw back to the first episode.
Yes.
Everything, like
That's the
literally
best.
shot by shot.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was awesome. That was, I don't know, like they just replaced Bran with the little kid, and
Yeah,
that was.
there are so many parallels between this episode. Now it's the end, and the
Yeah.
beginning, of course, that
Dude,
pilot.
and it's like the first time any of these people are seeing each other since the first episode.
A lot of them, yeah.
Yeah, like, I don't know what we can say, what we can't, but there's like,
I think you can say that
like
one.
Jamie and Bran.
Right, because we know that at the end of last
haven't
season,
seen
that's where
each other.
Jamie was headed. Since the pilot, since season 1,
That's
episode
crazy.
1.
When he still
And now
looks
they're
like
back.
Prince Charming.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy,
So,
dude.
and it's such a great way to remind people how much has happened.
And how much these characters have grown.
Absolutely.
It shows arcs, like, so well.
Yeah, and it's just a big exclamation point on just the whole series, and just a great way to bring about some reflection as the beginning of the end comes.
I also really liked about this episode is it wasn't super action-packed.
Nope,
And
it was a setup episode.
And it reminded me a lot of how old Game of Thrones was.
That's
and
what a lot of
I
people
wanted.
said.
But that's what I wanted because with season 7, even though I loved season 7 I thought was a great season. I know it was mixed with some people because
I loved season 7 blows my mind.
because some people like are saying it's turning less Game of Thrones more into like just a action show.
It was, but that's, you got to give them some leeway there because they know they have to close it out.
So what ended up, what this episode did was it showed that, hey, we can still do.
We're still Game of Thrones.
We can still, yeah, exactly. Like there was hardly any action in this whole episode. It reminded me of the first few episodes, which this was trying to do, of them just scheming and plotting and like just talk of mouth and like the Game of Thrones. Like
the Game of Thrones. The Game of Thrones is not played on the battlefield, right?
No.
It's played in the chambers of the, the what am I trying to say?
The talking rooms. I don't know.
The talking room. It's played it's played out in the war rooms of the Cersei and everybody else.
I watched the behind the scenes and they even talked about, they were like, we used to, in the first few seasons that we had, the first like couple seasons we had such a small budget, like even if we wanted to do the battles on screen, we couldn't. Like there's no possible way. So that's why like so many of the big battles that happened in the first season, you don't even see them happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's another like reason why it was so focused on just the scheming, because that's all there was.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's still great.
I mean, obviously it worked out well for them to do that.
Yeah, but what did you like? Like what I don't know.
I was just so excited for folks to kind of come back and focus on Winterfell, right? And people that have never been there.
Yeah.
Obviously, we know Jon was heading back there with Daenerys at the end of last season, and now they've arrived, and not just because obviously she's got to bring her dragons with her.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just seeing dragons come to Winterfell. It was seeing characters like Sansa and Arya see dragons come to Winterfell, right?
Everyone just
I mean,
see
if you
dragons.
think about it from their perspective,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, especially with those two characters seeing dragons in person for the first time, that's what really blew me away, is because just imagine like being these two, I'm talking about Arya and Sansa again, and they've heard about dragons since they were like little kids.
Yeah, and like they were fake and stuff.
now they're two full-grown dragons at their house, like where they grew up. And it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
And also, like, another thing with that is Sansa is just one of my least favorite characters. I know a lot of people like her.
The thing about it is,
I just don't like her very much.
Her progression, her arc throughout the series is maybe the best.
Oh, I think Jaime's is the best.
Jaime's might be the best.
But
my top 3 are Jaime, Sansa, and Arya.
Arya's good too.
Yeah.
But what it comes down to for me is I don't think she's boring. I don't know. She's a good actress. I just don't like her character. Anyways,
interesting. Okay.
But the tension between her and Daenerys in the episode, whoo!
Phenomenal.
Oh! Also, my one downside of the entire episode is whenever they're not in Winterfell, if I'm being honest.
That's true.
That's
where everything's going on.
Yeah, because they have to show like what Cersei's up to.
Of course, and we want to know.
Yeah, but those parts, I was just like waiting for them to get back. I was always waiting for them to go back.
I guess so, but it didn't bother me as much as it seems to have bothered you.
Yeah, and also they did. Oh god. Also, two other things. Won't spoil it though.
Okay.
Crazy revelation. Yeah, well,
No
like
doubt about it.
to a character
Sure.
that we already knew, but he didn't know.
Yeah.
Woo, crazy.
So Joe basically just spoiled it, 'cause if you watch it, you know what he's talking about.
Yeah. And
But let
then-
me ask you this real
And
quick.
then dragons. Stuff happens with dragons.
Oh God.
That's really
Yes.
cool.
All right. Well, we got to wrap up,
Yeah.
Joe. So just the episode. What would you rate it?
8.5.
Okay.
8.5. Solid episode.
Yeah.
Solid premiere.
I'm going to give it a 7. It's
Yeah.
lower. This was a setup
Yeah.
episode, a great setup episode, best setup episode of the
Yeah.
show, one of them for
Yeah.
sure. And it just made me so excited for what's going to happen in the season to come.
Yep.
So,
Agreed.
All right, everybody, we're going to be right back after this. We're going to be talking about Hellboy, so stick around. We'll see you after the break.
I'll be right back. Hi. You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home, just in case. If you're probably sober, then why would you do that?
Good choice.
Probably okay isn't okay. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
That's a full glass of wine. I'll be chatting you later.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. And as soon as I start to make my breakfast, Hamilton is right there. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. I mean, look at this little face. How could you not love him?
It's me, Artie. Come see what I collected from the Creative Galaxy in my idea box.
Transform your world.
Will you help me make art?
Before you throw it away,
Hey, I have an idea.
think outside the box.
Go be amazing!
Give your cardboard box another life. Recycle.
And we're back, everybody. Here we
And
go.
we're back.
Film Juice. Next movie on the docket, we're
Yeah.
going to be talking about Hellboy 2019.
Ooh,
Hellboy,
boy.
not the ones from 2004 and 2008 that
Yeah.
Guillermo del Toro did.
Yep.
Joe, why don't you tell us about this one?
So this movie is based off of loosely on the Dark Horse comics, Hellboy.
Yep. By Mike Mignola.
Yes, yes. And the Hellboy is not played by Ron Perlman, who's played him in everything, even the animated movies. Like, he's played him in everything. This is the only thing Ron Perlman's never played him in. And it's David Harbour. And
From Stranger Things.
yes, from Stranger Things. He's Hopper from
Yeah,
Stranger
yeah.
Things. And basically, it follows Hellboy, and he's a part of this secret group that fights off monsters to protect the world. And there's this big bad monster that's coming out and is going to destroy the world. She's back, and he has to stop her. And it's the girl from Resident Evil who, and you know those movies are great.
Which that's a bad sign immediately, because she's not a great actress to begin with. So kind of, like, I get that she has like those Underworld movies, they do have a following.
Yeah,
they've got a very dedicated following.
They do.
And so, I know they deal with the supernatural and stuff, so that's kind of her realm as far as what she's been in. But for me, I mean, I see her come on screen, and it's just disappointing.
You know what's funny?
Like, you give her a chance, but you know it's
that's
not
a good
gonna.
point. This movie reminded me of the Resident Evil series,
Which
movie
is
series, which
a
but this
diss,
is,
really.
Well,
That's a
yeah,
put down.
well, yeah, but this is why, because like the Resident Evil movies, they are almost based entirely not on the source. Like, they're not based on the source material, other than the name and the characters.
Sure.
That's it. The story completely different than anything the source material has, and that's what this movie did. And
let me tell you what this movie reminded me of.
Okay.
Now, in this movie, Oh, well, actually, I want to start at the beginning. This
Okay.
movie starts off with something that turns me off
my God, it was
immediately in
terrible.
any movie,
It was one of
which
the
is
worst intros.
a flashback with a voiceover narration.
Yeah.
Anytime a movie starts off like that,
Unless it's satirical.
oh, if it's
Like-
yeah, of
Yeah.
course. But when it does it seriously, it never works. It's always
It
awful.
reminded me of
and
an
that
older
I
movie
hate
or a
that.
B movie.
I hate that.
Dude, it was
a lot
so
of
bad.
a lot of things in this movie did.
It was
remind
a
me of B movie.
terrible intro for a movie, first of all. And
I hate when movies do that. It's so bad.
I gotta say, okay, I gotta say stuff I liked about this movie.
Okay.
There was a few things.
Okay.
A few.
Yeah.
One of them, even though I think Ron Perlman should be one of the only people, and this movie proves it, to play Hellboy, David Harbour did do, I think he did the best he could do. Honestly.
I agree.
I really do. And David Harbour.
I liked his approach.
Yeah, and
It was
David
different,
Harbour
but-
is a very strong actor.
Yeah.
Very strong. Oh my God, he can pull his weight. But I think with the given material with the material he had,
Especially the one-liners,
Oh
which this
my
movie is chock full of.
God.
A guy does something,
God.
Hellboy
Dude.
cuts a demon and it's badass, and then he's got to say a cool
Yeah.
line.
Oh, it
I'd
was
say
awful.
basically none of those worked. I
No.
think one worked. I don't remember
Like-
what it was, but it was funny.
And
but the rest were
I want
not
you to say what you said earlier because it was perfect. I
When
don't want
we
to
were
steal
talking
the line.
before the show?
Yeah, I don't want to steal the line from you because
What
I
did I
almost
say?
just said
What
it.
were we talking about?
This movie gets worse as it goes on.
Oh, this movie. Yes, that's the thing. This movie.
It starts off like you're like, oh,
Yeah. So after the intro, after that awful
Yeah.
flashback intro, it is
the
like
first fight isn't terrible.
no,
it's
it's
an
like
promising
hey,
opening.
okay, let's see what happens. I can
Yeah.
see why this is already bad, but it's not necessarily because it's got a 9%, might even be lower right now on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's really bad.
And it's a longer movie. It's 2 hours, and
Yeah.
the deeper you get into it, the
Yep.
worse this movie gets.
Oh my
Especially when at the end they try to push a lot of stuff in.
Yeah.
And there's no reason to rush those
my
things.
God.
It was bad.
And can I just this movie, I know you have not seen the first
Yes, that's
or
true.
the second one. But the first movie is the first movie is this movie but better, not just how it's made, because Guillermo del Toro did an amazing job, and Ron Perlman,
he's
of course.
going to.
And everyone in that cast was amazing.
Yeah.
But that movie took it from the original source material, so it was literally just from the comic almost. This movie, the things they took from the source material, they just basically took from they took how the movie did it and just made it worse. And the way I can explain it, spoilers because I don't care.
Oh boy.
The end of the movie when he uses Excalibur, which doesn't happen in the comics,
Of
to
course, 'cause why would it?
to
That's the most ridiculous
to
thing
become
ever.
the actual Hell Demon. That happens in the movie, but it's not that's not how it's done. It's way
Yeah,
better than
yeah,
that.
of course.
Anyways, that part is so much worse in this movie. It's not earned.
Not in the slightest.
When it happens
Not in the slightest.
when that
That's
happens,
a great way to put it.
When that happens in the first movie, it's you're almost crying because all this stuff just happened. It's insanely emotional. And then this movie just does it nothing. He says a dumbass one-liner, and then it's I'm the worst line. Well, that'd be great, but I don't think it'd work out because I'm me and you're effing crazy. And it's okay,
Now, yes. Obviously, people are going to compare the two, but even as this movie stands on its own, here's what I would kind of describe it as. A lot of this takes place in London.
Yeah.
Right, which is weird.
Very weird.
The way that they do that, it reminds me of a Mary-Kate and Ashley
Yep.
Olsen movie, or even Garfield 2: Tale of Two Kitties. It's here's Hellboy and
Yep.
Hellboy Goes to
Yeah.
London is basically the title.
Yeah.
It's lame.
Also, two other things. Didn't really care
others.
for Hellboy's design in this movie compared
Okay.
to the older one. He just looked old and gross, and
That's true.
I get it. But
Saw too much of Hellboy's hairy back.
It took the character.
much.
It took away the character, I think,
Yeah.
of him. Also, this was given the material that David Harbour had, but he was a much more boring version of what Ron Perlman did.
Yeah.
Like, Ron Perlman, even though he had less one-liners, they all worked when they happened, and it felt like you could tell, like, this could be a real guy.
Yeah.
He was just so plain and two-dimensional.
So if you're a Hellboy fan, just watch the old ones.
Yeah,
You don't have to worry
please.
about this. But rating. We said the same one for this, actually.
Yeah.
We both are going to give this 3 juice boxes out of 10.
Oh, my God.
Not saying it's as
Made me
bad as
so
everybody online is saying, but it is not good.
No.
So anyways, everybody, let's move past that. And we're going to be back after these messages with our throwback, so stick around.
Whew.
I'll be right back. Hi. You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home, just in case. If you're probably sober, then why would you do that?
Good choice.
Probably okay isn't okay. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
That's a full glass of wine. I'll be chatting you later.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. And as soon as I start to make my breakfast, Hamilton is right there. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. I mean, look at this little face. How could you not love him?
It's me, Artie. Come see what I collected from the creative galaxy in my idea box.
Transform your world.
Will you help me make art?
Before you throw it away,
Hey, I have an idea.
think outside the box.
Go be amazing!
Give your cardboard box another life. Recycle.
Hey everybody, here we are back to Film
Yeah, we
Juice.
are.
Andrew Canada, Joe Dorado here with our throwback. Some Like It Hot.
Oh, yeah.
1959 screwball comedy, of course, starring Jack Lemmon and Tony Curtis.
Wow.
Directed by Billy Wilder,
Yeah.
who did a lot of great movies back in the day.
One of Marilyn Monroe's like big first.
Yeah, that's very true.
too.
That's you know, it's a bigger role than she had in like All About Eve.
Yeah.
But it's not a Marilyn
Yeah,
Monroe
All About Eve. She
movie.
like showed up for 2 seconds.
Yeah,
and then
exactly,
left.
exactly.
Yeah.
The premise of this movie, of course, is a little ridiculous. It takes place in 1929. These 2 guys are musicians, and they're out of work. They can't get a job. There's no jobs for musicians these days, except for one.
Yeah.
But it's an all-female band.
They're also running from the mob.
Well, that's what I'm about to say, Joe, if you would let me finish for 1 second. They're also running from the mob. No, so they witness some illegal activity performed by these gangsters, so they have to run from these gangsters, and the way that they do it is they pretend that they're women so that they can go on tour with this all-female band. That's where they meet Marilyn Monroe, and then at first they kind of, Tony Curtis's character becomes a bit infatuated with her and kind of wants to get to know her a little better, even though he's supposed to be playing woman, and so Jack Lemmon and is like, we're supposed to be ladies, you're going to ruin this whole thing.
Yep.
And things go crazy. Like I said, it's a wacko, it's a screwball comedy. Maybe definitely one of the quintessential screwball comedies, I would say.
Oh, easily.
Yeah.
This?
Very good.
Yeah. This movie is one of the funniest movies.
It's hilarious.
It's one of the funniest classic movies too.
Oh, no
Because
doubt
I feel like a
about it.
lot of classic movies.
Sure, humor sometimes it doesn't always flow through generations.
But I feel
right?
like this one works.
I think so too.
Like I think it's like
genuinely funny moments in this movie.
and
Not
it's
just like,
because-
oh, that's funny and it's like old or whatever.
And it's
but
because
very good.
It's because this movie is very good visual Well, it has slaps. It's a lot of slapstick.
A lot of slapstick,
but
sure.
The way the camera shows it visually is great. Like,
I think you're absolutely right.
It's really well done how the camera shows the entire, like all the gags and stuff. Like the camera just follows it really well, and it's not. It doesn't feel. I don't know how to explain it. It's just really well done.
Yeah, it feels almost timeless, I think, is what you're trying to get at.
It is. It really is.
And it's very funny, and the acting, of course, is great. Jack Lemmon, such a great actor. And, I mean, nobody plays the straight man like him.
Yeah.
I mean, one of his maybe his most famous role, of course, is playing Felix in the Odd Couple movie.
Yep.
And you can see how his character in this is similar to that character.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even his character in Grumpy Old Men, which came out, sometime in the 90s. Oh my gosh, so funny. So funny. But we're not talking about that right now.
One thing I liked, this movie did not have to be black and white. They chose for this movie to be black and white. So I always think it's interesting when movies choose to be black and white.
Sure.
Especially since it never happens now. Obviously, this is older, but still. I just think it's an interesting choice. And that's because this movie it takes place like, does it?
1929 is what it is the year.
So it takes place like, so it kind of works because it takes place during the time where there was no color in film. I just think it's a really nice touch. It's just like a nice little thing.
Sure.
Like, they did not have to do that, and they did it, and it was cool.
No.
And I think it works really well with the movie too. It feels like a 1920 like kind of like.
I understand what you're trying to say. They do a good job of bringing you into that, you know. But it's also a very dynamic movie, which happens in a lot of screwball comedies. There's so many balls up in the air, right? So I think to direct a screwball comedy and stuff is always if it done well, because it's easy to do it poorly, but if done well, it's really quite the feat because you have to juggle all those balls up in the air, and then they have to fall eventually, right?
There's like three plots that go on at the same time in this movie, or something like that. Because there's the one with
Tony Curtis and Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah, then there's the one with
Jack Lemmon. He's kind of got his own thing going on.
And the captain.
Yeah. Which is hilarious. There's the whole gangster thing. Of course.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And like they juggle it really well. The pacing always feels good.
Yeah.
What is it, an hour and a half movie?
It's actually 2 hours long. Doesn't feel like it at all.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It feels good.
Yeah.
And
it feels good. Some like it hot. It feels good.
Also, the title's really. I love the title. I think it's a great title.
Yeah, that is.
It just works. Like it's just like
it's snappy.
Yeah,
it's like old Hollywood, right? It's like an old Hollywood title.
And it's a good time. I don't know what to say about it.
Great performances. It's a good movie. Everybody will enjoy it, no matter what. So, what do you think about the rating, Joe?
I'm gonna give this movie a 9 out of 10. I think it's a really good movie.
Yeah.
It could probably be a 9.5 for me.
Oh wow.
But I'm going to keep it at a 9,
okay.
But it could be somewhere around there.
Interesting. I'm going to give it an 8.5, which is a
wow,
little lower than you.
That's crazy.
But I think 8.5 is appropriate.
Yeah.
I feel like that's correct for this movie.
Yeah.
But I can see how someone would give it a 9 because it's such an enjoyable movie.
Yeah.
It's a feel-good movie. So absolutely check it out if you haven't and you get the chance. Please do for sure. Yeah.
Seriously. It has one of the most famous endings, too, in a movie. Well, one of the most famous comedy endings with the boat. And that's like, whenever I see someone reference like an old-time comedy, that scene is in.
Always.
Yeah.
That's a good call.
Yeah, it's a really good comedy.
Well, that's going to do it for us for this episode. We are not going to be here next week because we are going to see Avengers Endgame.
Woo!
But the week after that, we're going to be back with an hour-long Film Juice season finale.
The series finale.
60 minutes of Film Juice. So start preparing yourselves now.
We're going to have a lot of stuff planned. Guys, it's going to be insane.
So get ready. Get ready for that. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us this evening. We'll see you next time at the movies.